What if you could help others to find the power to heal themselves? Physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
When I started teaching my classes, it was in 2002, and I was just doing the past life regressions and contacting the subconscious part. But then as the time went on and we found how powerful this was and what we could do with it, a lot of the students began saying, you know, advanced past life regression doesn't really tell what it's all about. This is so much more than that. We think you should change the name. So it was a few years ago we decided to change the name to Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique. And this is the healing technique that we've now been teaching it, well, since 2002, that's 12 years.
What if you could time travel with them? Visit mythical places or angelic realms, other worlds, other galaxies. Help others to speak to their higher selves. You can. Dolores has taught thousands of people from across the world how to use QHHT, and now you can learn her method by going directly to dolorescannon.com. And don't forget to mention the discount code MORETALKS. Hi guys, and welcome to another edition of The Kevin Moore Show. Now on today's show, I'm about to be joined by my guest, Ervin Laszlo. Now Ervin was nominated twice for the Nobel Peace Prize and is the founder and president of the Club of Budapest and the founder and director of the Laszlo Institute of New Paradigm Research, and is the author of over 101 books translated into 21 languages. Now, he joins me today to discuss his latest book, Reconnecting to the Source, The New Science of Spiritual Experience. Ervin Laszlo, welcome to the show.
Kevin, it's my pleasure.
Oh, it really is my pleasure to have you on, trust me. Now, obviously, you know, we're in strange times right now, and I thought, you know, it's important to get you on because you've got a new book out, Reconnecting to the Source, and obviously you're based in Italy right now. What city in Italy are you in?
Well, I'm not in any city. I'm out in the country, on a hill in Tuscany.
So you're well away, yeah, Tuscany. Okay, so that's well away
Yes,
from any...
The nearest village is about 2 miles away. The nearest town is about 10 miles away. And over here, I don't see and hear anybody other than birds and an occasional wild boar coming in the evening. You know, other than that, there's hardly any humanity around here.
Well, you know, obviously, we're all watching the news right now. We know what's going on in Italy. You know, my heart goes out to the Italian people.
Cities, especially in the north. Yes,
it's terrible. I mean, you know, as we record this today, another 800 plus people have died from the coronavirus, and it's an epidemic now. It's everywhere. I'm on lockdown where I am. I think most places are locked down right now, and you know things are not normal. And I thought, well, you know, it's a great time, like I said before, to get you on to mix your book in with that theme as well. Has it made you, with what's going on in the world right now, did you ever foresee anything like this in the work that you do?
No, nobody could have foreseen this particular variant. But I have foreseen that sooner or later, some kind of a crisis situation will come about. There are many possibilities of that, unfortunately. And I think it's a matter of time before one or another really breaks out and shakes the roof over our head. But that this would have come about, it was not foreseen. I think it was not foreseeable. But I'm just now writing a message that I want to share widely, in which I'm saying that every crisis is not only a danger, but also an opportunity. So in a way, paradoxically, that this crisis has come about now is an opportunity to begin a process of change that we would have need to undertake in any case. The sooner we undertake it, the better it is, because the longer we wait, the more difficult it is to change, the more irreversible processes are taking place in the world around us and in humanity. So in a way, paradoxically, a wake-up call is a useful thing. Unfortunately, this is a violent wake-up call, and it creates harm and damage in human lives and in society. But there's always the constructive side of it. It is a welcome signal which we should wake up and use. The greatest danger, the greatest tragedy would be to go back to continue the way we have been. Once this blows over, we just go back, then we didn't learn anything from it. Then we are just waiting for the next crisis, which may be more difficult to resolve even than this. So I see this positive side as well, and I want to share that with you and with whoever is listening to me.
I mean, obviously, you're a man of science. Science needs to play a big part in this to help, contain and conquer, hopefully, or come up with some sort of vaccine potentially maybe in the future for the corona. But what is the plus side of this then, from the spiritual perspective?
Well, that it calls attention, or at least it calls into play. It should call to attention the fact that if we are looking for a better way to proceed, it is also by looking at our deeper spiritual self, looking at our deeper feelings, our intuitions, our insights. To complete science with that, we need the scientific message, we need the scientific information, but we also need that deep sense of who we are, which comes to us in those non-local, non-specific, deep experiences that are generally called spiritual experiences, and which I'm describing in my new book.
I mean, obviously, yeah. I mean, you talk about, you've talked about in previous lectures as well that we've always been on the threshold of change. What would you like to see the world become after this? What would you like to see the humanity's progression spiritually, in the wake of all this?
Well, again, to just use the term, metaphorical term that I'm using in the new book, I would like to see humanity becoming more connected to the source. And here by source, I mean really nature, the universe. The source is what has given rise to us, birth to us, human people, living beings who live on this planet. We are a product of the biosphere. But in the past few decades, increasingly, we have separated ourselves off as though we would be above and beyond the biosphere and the laws of nature. We are still very much a part of it. But these are generous laws. They are actually, one would say, almost kind laws, because they favor cooperation over competition. They favor empathy over just violence and conflict. And I think this is what we can learn from science, because evolution, according to the quantum sciences, according to quantum physics, quantum biology, emerging a quantum psychology, and the quantum management science, these are all emergent disciplines. They tell us that we are connected, intimately, intrinsically connected, and that together in connection, we can face the problems and we can overcome the problems and open the way to a brighter new future, a future where we can live sustainably, where we can strive, where we can flourish. All that is possible, but we need to be reconnected again to nature, to the world around us, to people, to trees, to the clouds, to everything that is around us, as we have been in traditional societies, even through the Middle Ages, even though it has been dominated by particular religious dogmas. But the sense of being one with the world around us has accompanied us, and it has been nearly lost in the last few decades. And it's time to reconnect. And that, I think, is the way forward.
Is that almost like reconnecting to the higher self in a sense, in the sense that we're reconnecting back to our soul, that we are eternal, that all answers lie within? Is that the kind of thing you mean?
Yes, I take my cue from this recognition increasingly coming forth in the new sciences and new cosmology, that the world is a kind of a hologram. That means that it runs on information, and the information on which it runs is distributed. That means it's present. It's present everywhere. As in a hologram, we know all the information that creates the image is present in every part of it. No matter how small part of a holographic field we illuminate with a laser or a strong light, the full image appears. And that is the way the universe is. It appears to be like this. The universe is basically not matter, not just hard substance and passive substance obeying mechanical laws. It's an open quantum system, highly integrated, highly connected, highly co-evolving. And that system is a system of information in which we participate. And that information, which basically steers the solar systems in the galaxy to create larger systems, steers galaxies into the meta galaxy, and steers the proton and the neutron in the nucleus of a hydrogen atom to make a full hydrogen atom and attract electrons to it. And this is a quasi-miraculous thing. And I'm not me who's just saying it alone. Einstein has said it. Max Planck has said it very clearly. This is not a mechanical universe, not a passive universe. And what I want to add to this argument is that whatever creates the atom, creates the molecule, creates the cell, the organism, and the biosphere is also creates us. And it is present in every cell of our body, and we can be aware of it also in our mind, in our conscious mind. The great challenge is to become aware of it and to go with it. That is the providential force that young people say, be with you. Let the force be with us. The force is with us. The question is, are we with the force?
And if we went in that space, do you think people would be a bit less fearful right now? They wouldn't be in so much panic. They would have a better understanding that, well, I say this very lightly, but we're all going to die at some point, right? We've only got a limited time here, so let's make the most of it, and let's not fear death.
I think if we understand that we are part of a larger system, then we also understand that the information that creates us is not mortal. That information continues and creates living systems. We are in a different body, in a different form, probably the spirit, the consciousness that exists in the universe, which is not a product of our brain, but which is very much a part of the root element of the cosmos. That spirit is in us, is our consciousness, and that consciousness is not mortal. So I think we need to understand that. We need to understand that we indeed are spiritual beings in a physical form, and not just physical beings in a spiritual form. Even that we are not very often. So I think knowing deeply the latest picture of existence of the universe as it comes from the sciences encourages us to connect ourselves with our spiritual deeper self. And if we do that, then of course we realize that we are part of a living, evolving universe, and that we have nothing to fear in that universe. We have to be a constructive part. Every animal is a constructive part. Every plant is a constructive part. We, with a higher level of consciousness, can also make mistakes, and we have made mistakes. We have mistaken this self-evolving, information-based universe into a material, passive universe in which pieces of matter are obeying mechanical rules without any higher purpose or rule or reason. That is a mistake. That is a wrong interpretation of the evidence. So it's time to get back to the ancient wisdom, which is now re-emerging in the new sciences. That, I think, gives us comfort.
But it's very difficult, isn't it, when people right now. I've seen news reports, and I take it lightly sometimes. But there is food shortages right now. There's shortages on some essentials. The economy is crashing. People are fearful of everything that they're going to lose, or to have to build back. When you're in the midst of the shit, it's very difficult to come into the space that we're discussing here right now, though, isn't it, for some people?
Well, it's a motivation. It should be a motivation. Should be an incentive to come back to ourselves. This is, after all, it is temporary. It's a difficult phase, but we have had pandemics before, the Black Death, AIDS, and all kinds of things. This is something that is visiting us. Is probably connected with the fact that we are destroying the balances, the natural balances of the whole ecosphere around us. And we are creating so many artificial molecules that it's not excluded that some of those molecules come together in a highly destructive way. And just think of the new information system on number 5. What that is doing, we don't know yet, but it's not doing good things to us. So there are many, many things around us that we have created artificially that are destroying equilibria, and we need to come back from that. We know many of those things can be temporary, and we have to. The main thing is when we come out of this, because sooner or later we do come out of it. When we come out of it, not to go back to the old ways. That would be a tragedy.
Well, that's what I was trying to say before. So if again, let's just re-emphasize this, and the new ways as you would like to see it, or you, with all your years of wealth of experience and knowledge that you've put into your wonderful books. What would you bullet point some of those ways forward for us? Would you say it's being more loving to each other and ourselves, caring more for Mother Nature? Realizing that the universe is in balance.
All these things are yes, that is the way. But I want to emphasize it's not the way in the form of a recipe or a dictate of an authority. It's not something coming from some source that we feel that is imposing on us. It's something that's coming from us. If we come back to our own deeper self, we become like that. I mean, what's so remarkable is that when in this new book, I've asked nearly 24 eminent people who know are highly moral, ethical people, and that they are very sincere and honest. I asked them, did you have a life-transforming experience? That was before the pandemic, I asked, because it has been now about a year ago, or perhaps a little less. And these people that I've asked said, indeed, there was something, there was an experience that changed my life. And I asked them, would you describe it? And I didn't tell any of them about any of the others. So each wrote just his or her own experience. People like Jane Goodall and Deepak Chopra and a lot of other people that we know. And a lot of lesser people, also business people, successful people, media people. And when they described the experiences and they came to what they have taken away from it, what has actually changed in them, we were all practically in the same way, reached the same conclusion. That deep down, we are empathetic, we are interconnected, we are loving people, we are cooperative, we are not just conflict prone and competing against each other. And this sense, this deep sense, is something that changed their lives. If we can recognize that this is in us, we have deep down, if we allow this experience to surface, then it also will change us. The change has to come from the inside. The change has to come from us. because Gandhi was right. The change only comes in the world where we change ourselves. But this can change. The key is in us. So I want to say, yes, try to be what you really are. It is kind of a cooperative, loving person, not a fearful one, but one that knows that together we can move to the next step in our collective evolution, a higher level of empathy, a higher level of cooperation, a higher level of integration among all our elements, so we reach a higher consciousness as well. All this is possible. The change that we need to kick us into this, as the cyberneticians are talking about, an initial kick. That initial kick has now been given. So it is make use of it, not to fall back into the old ways. It's not a question of fearfully trying to defend ourselves, but to move forward, using this opportunity to move forward. Never be the same again as we have been. It's a great opportunity, and it's time to recognize it.
Well, do you think the universe creates a sort of chaos point sometimes for this type of opportunity?
I think the system of life on Earth is a self-correcting system. You know that species that are constantly sustained form are not seeing the world as they need to survive. They die out. Mistakes can be made, but mistakes are made much more seldom in a natural species. In a conscious species, mistakes are easily made because we not only live in the world, we not only see the world, we interpret the world, and we live according to our interpretation of the world. So I think eventually we have to recognize that there is a world around us that we have not interpreted right. Otherwise, we would not be just saying, putting ourselves first, putting ourselves in a situation where we only pursue our own immediate short-term interest and never mind the rest. And that these are not ways that the system can operate. These ways are what is known in systems theory or cybernetics as sub-optimizing, optimizing the system, optimizing one element at the expense of the other elements. So we have got to stop doing that and become a world that can live together and strive together. It is in us. It's a self-correcting mechanism that is in us. Healing now increasingly is taking this route. From biochemical medicine, there's an increasing trend toward looking at natural medicine, becoming one with the world. Forest bathing, for example, using homeopathic, using natural vegetarian, vegan diets, and so on. All of these things are actually ways already in which humanity is beginning to return to the source.
Would you say in times like this, I mean, we should be doing this anyway, I don't do enough of it, but meditation in a sense is a good way to reconnect. It's a start.
Stopping this constant chatter, stopping this constant superficial hunting for power and for wealth, and becoming more aware of our deeper self and of our happiness lying in us. Sure, the way to that is to stop that upper chatter. The way to that is to live consciously, to live in a mindful way, to meditate, to pray, whatever way you take. You take the Eastern way, you take the Western way, the Southern way. It's all good ways, all meant to stop the short-term, fallacious and wrong way and put it right again, becoming again one with the great trends of evolution. In the 13.8 billion years since the Big Bang, the universe has been evolving constantly, non-linearly. There's very many peaks and troughs, but evolving. And this evolution is in us. We can be champions of it because we are conscious beings on this planet, the most conscious. Others are also conscious, but we are perhaps the most articulately conscious beings. And we have the power to recognize what we are doing, and let's do it consciously and purposefully. Go with nature, go with the force.
I mean, there's a lot of people out there right now in my community that are going with conspiracy theories. calling it a genetically engineered, bioweapon, all sorts of stuff. And I'm thinking to myself, what does any of this matter? But we can get lost in the conspiracy side of this as well. A lot of people can do.
Well, something has triggered this. I don't think a pristine nature would have created such a deadly virus. Some we are manipulating. We are manipulating the molecules, the cells around us. No, I don't think even those who have done this would be aware that they have done it. I'm not going along with those conspiracy theories that it has all been done on purpose. That would be crazy. But as we are treating the world around us as though it would only be there to serve us, to serve our interests, and if we could play around with it and just create whatever we want with it. I mean, that's a wrong attitude, and that risks something like this coming forth. So let's learn.
Obviously, I've been watching shows on the coronavirus, and a lot of environmentalists think that this came from the wet markets potentially in China, and from the consuming or the slaughtering of bats. And when I think of what you're saying here right now, is that the imbalance of caging animals in these wet markets and slaughtering animals that we wouldn't normally do in first world countries. If that continues, then there's all the signs that another strain or something else could continue in the future, or could occur like it has done. So, I mean, even changes in the way that we view animals and Mother Nature, I mean, that's got to change, surely. Or if it doesn't, we're just going to go down the same road again.
Exactly. I fully agree with you. I mean, that's the thing. We have got to learn not to continue doing the same thing. Let's use this as a learning experience. Okay, so whether it's will be another virus or whatever we are doing, we are introducing artificial synthetic measures. We are now learning. I'm very interested in healing processes, in natural healing. Myself, I'm being treated by natural healers, and they keep me in balance so far. And I think this is so important to know, that nature is the best medicine, that we can, if we follow the ways of nature, we live healthier, we live better. So let's not trust always manipulating things to our immediate interests. Let's remember that we are one among many, and that we are one with the many.
I should have asked you this at the beginning of the interview, but I'll ask you now, in your understanding then, what is the purpose of life?
I think if we are really a part of an evolving universe, the purpose is, to put it in a few words, the purpose is to consciously further that evolution. It's moving somewhere. It's moving into higher dimensions. We don't know why, we don't know exactly where, but it is moving, and we are a part of it, and we are a conscious part of it. We are consciously in our life, in our lifetime, and perhaps in our multiple lifetimes. We are here to further that evolution, to make it come forth consciously, perhaps to introduce and promote and enhance consciousness in the universe. This is underlying all the great religions, all the great systems of spirituality, this thought. So let's take it, because science is now corroborating it. Science is telling us, not a passive universe, not an indifferent universe. It's an interconnected, interacting, oneness kind of a universe that is evolving. We are a part of it. Let's evolve together. And the purpose, as far as I can see, is to do this consciously, to our benefit and to the benefit of all around us. Because when we do something good for us, we are doing good for everything around us.
Absolutely. And just my final question as well, what is the most important message of your work so far?
But it changes all the time, because the new and new aspects are coming forth. I have been championing, but I've been calling, and people around me are calling, the new paradigm. new paradigm, first of all, in science. But of course, since science is such a major factor in society and in our life, it has to be a new paradigm in our thinking and feeling. So my message is what I'm actually trying now to express in a new book that I'm almost completing, where I'm using the concept of the Akashic field, this deeper field of interconnection around us, and memory and interconnection, that this is really what we have got to recover, reconnect to our old idea, to an ancient idea, perennial idea, that we are together, that we are all in the same boat, and we are together, we are ourselves, we are the boat, we are not just sitting in a boat. So the message is, yes, think of that. Think of being part of an Akashic field, at the deeper field of interconnection and memory and co-evolution. If you can think of that, if you can feel that, your action, your behavior, and your health will improve.
Now, your website is?
Well, it can be several. There's ervinlaszlo.com. There's the laszloinstitute.com. And then there are the sites now for the new book, which is Reconnecting to the Source.
Okay. Well, we'll put all those links in the description below in this video, so you can everyone can browse them. Ervin, I just want to say how appreciative I am of you coming on right now. I know there's a big time difference between us, and it's my early hours of the morning, it's your sort of afternoon, and I so appreciate you making this happen. So just thank you for all the amazing work that you've done and for those fantastic messages that you've just given to the audience. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you, Kevin. You are doing a great job raising these questions, opening them up, allowing a discussion of them to come forth. I just want to participate in that discussion, and I appreciate very much the platform that you are producing.